quick second. I hear the processor revving up like a jet engine. That must mean we are back. There we go. All right, welcome back after the longest commercial break in history. So long that actually some members of the cast have quit the show and started working on other projects. So we come back from commercial and we're down a man. But yeah, everyone, as you may recall, the last time you were investigating a small vessel that doesn't seem space worthy that the Klingons tipped you off about. And on there you found 6 reddish skinned aliens in a hibernation. One of the stasis pods were open, and our security crew, led by Lieutenant Drake, went on a search and found that this alien was dead, murdered in what passes as the control room for the vessel. Meanwhile, the other members, Chief Engineer Velik, investigated how these pods are working and what maybe could be done to keep the ship in operation or keep the vessel in operation so the remaining members will not die in stasis. Our medic, Shanvos Thadagia, is that correct? Make sure I get the pronunciation right. Our medic also took a look at the life signs of these aliens and trying to determine if there's any serious problem with them, why they're in there. While our new ensign, Lieutenant, supporting character in this episode, was able to talk down a wild, panicking Mainu man who also got released as his pod shut down, and he went into a bit of a fright to see aliens that he never knew existed before now surrounding him. But the problem is he couldn't remember very much about what he did to get in that position. Back on the DeGrasse Tyson, he was sent to the sick bay with Ensign Lieutenant, and that's when the chief medical officer, Dr. Arden, revealed that the scans that he's getting from the man's brainwaves are showing that his memories are disappearing rapidly. It's like a strong onset of dementia that's cascading through his brain. And when Ensign Lieutenant returned to the examination room to check on the Mainu, whose name is, did anyone write his name down? If not, get a pencil ready. Okay. His name was Awas Kete. To check on how he was doing, he turned around and he seemed completely disoriented and confused and frightened again. He charged at Ensign Lieutenant, knocked her down to the ground, lifted up a stool, an examination stool that was next to the bed, and was moments away from bringing it down on her head when we went to commercial break 4 months ago. And now, after one of the longest Geico commercials in the history of mankind, we now return to Star Trek, The Next Frontier. Okay, so we should pick up right where we left off, right there in the sick bay, I would imagine. So let me get everyone's attention to the sick bay on roll 20 for those of you who can see it. So there's the man, Awas, standing over Ensign Lieutenant. Mark, the EMH, is in the office with Dr. Arden next door. And we were knocked to the ground. So let's see, we're going to have to resolve this issue. Let's see. Chris, I guess we
Yes.
put it
Mhm.
back to you right now, since you are the one who was knocked down in that surprise attack. You look up and you see again just the crazed, frightened look in his eyes, and he just, you can't shake the words that he shouted before, like what are you? Who are you? And you notice that he's definitely not the same man you were talking to moments earlier.
Uh, well, I'm going to tag team Log and have him enter from right screen and full body tackle.
Okay.
No, um, I guess I'm on the ground at this point.
Yeah, you were knocked down from the attack. It
Yeah.
inflicted the knockdown trait on you,
Mhm.
as well as giving you 2 points of stress.
Okay, and who else is in here?
Right now, as the scene begins in the examination room, there's no one there. You know,
Mm,
Dr. Ardan and the EMH are in the adjoining office,
okay.
but also Lieutenant Thadagia is possibly in the sick bay somewhere, as
Mhm.
we didn't establish where he was back on the ship now that you were all over there.
Mhm.
So it's possible he could be nearby as well, if that
Mhm.
is what Gene so chooses.
Yes, actually want to alert security. Just pick combat shit, security to medbay, and
Okay,
that's
we'll say that you're probably in that office then with Dr. Oda, and you heard the noise and you make that call. But right now, he makes the call, but still, Lieutenant, you're going to have to act before anything else befalls you.
Yeah. Just a quick side note.
Yeah.
Gene and Percy, could you guys do me a favor and change your display names to your character names?
Yeah, that's right. We
Just
didn't do
makes it
it.
a lot easier for
no
me
problem.
to.
Yeah. Yeah, and me as well. Yeah, definitely.
And if I'm gonna be super picky, sorry, if you could put your rank there too.
Oh,
It's so
sorry.
much easier for me to be able to just glance down and be like, oh yeah, Lieutenant Velik or and such.
And if I may, blood type, just in case there's an emergency and we need to set up a transfusion. Gene, can you do that on your app, or would you like me to do it?
If you could.
Okay, because I think it'll be easier for me to. Uh, should be easier for me to type that. Okay. All right. There we go.
Perfect.
Okay. All right. So back to
All
you,
right.
Lieutenant.
Yeah.
You're startled, knocked on the ground. You do hear the voice of Lieutenant Tadaji in the other room.
Mm.
He's clearly alerted to the disturbance there, but again, you have to do
Mhm.
something.
All right. Well, without even trying to get up, I'll look back at Evas and try to remind him who I am, saying, "It's all right, Evas. We've talked before. I'm Ensign Lieutenant, and you are aboard the the USS Neo deGrasse Tyson, and you've just woken up from cryogenic sleep. Your brain is a little foggy. Please take a seat and we can go over. I can explain everything that's happening. There's no need to get too excited."
Okay. Let's say that that's going to be what you intend to say, should
Mm-hmm.
you convince him.
Okay.
So you're going to at least get that part way out, and then let's make your roll to see if your counseling techniques actually break through to him in this state. So you have your Luton character sheet open.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. So let's see, which role would that be for you? That would probably be a reason, I'm
Reason,
imagining,
yeah. Yeah.
and medicine, I would guess. And since you're using counseling, now this is going to be difficult because of the state that he's in. So because of the state that he's in, this is going to be difficulty 4 check. So I want you to know that ahead of time. But yes, you're using the focus, you're using counseling.
Is that under complication or task roll?
Um,
Or 4?
the 4 would be
It's
task roll.
or task roll. Okay.
Task roll, yeah. Your complication range is going to be, did I write that down? What the thing is? Hang on a second. Let me please check. The complication range on this one right now is going to be 2.
Okay.
Okay, and your, oh wait, I apologize. I apologize. No, the task roll, yeah, it's been so long since we did this. Task roll is the number of dice you're rolling. So we're just looking
right.
to see the results once they pop out, and we'll see if you get 4 successes or not. So your task roll right now is at 2, but you also again have 4 momentum from the first half of the session. So with your task roll and complication range both on 2, you can buy 1 extra die for 1 momentum, and then 1 more die after that for 2 more momentum. Were you to want at least 2 more, it's your call.
I'll use 1 more die for momentum.
Okay, so spending that 1 momentum. Okay, and then
But yeah, it has been a long time. I'm rolling. I'm clicking
and
the
make sure
symbol.
focus yes. Focus use
Focus
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, then you
And
click the delta symbol before the or after the task roll.
yeah.
Okay, nice. You got 4 successes.
Okay.
A 0, 2, and 2. That's perfect. So as he brings this stool up, and just in his fear, his arms are shaking, trembling, because he's not a violent man. He's not a man that's prone to just attacking. He just doesn't understand the situation he's in, and he sees you on the floor. Instead of angrily fighting back, you're reasonably talking to him, addressing him in his own language as far as he can tell, and you're saying his name, you're saying things calmly to him, and it's just clicking with him that he really doesn't understand what's going on. His head is cloudy, everything isn't making sense, but maybe what you're saying is true, and deep down he does not want to attack you. So you see that rage, you see that fear start to fade from his face, and his arm just drops down to his side, swinging that stool loosely, and it falls and clatters to the floor.
All right. Why don't you? I slowly start to stand up and say, "All right, Evas, why don't you go ahead and take a seat on the bed on next to you, and we can have a conversation and try to uh, figure out where you've been and what we're going to do next. Can I get you some water, or are you feeling all right? How are you feeling?"
By this point, Dr. Ardun and the EMH Mark also step into the room. Thidagia, you as well?
Yes.
Okay, you come in the room, and also by this point, security is going to start coming in through the main doors, so the room's starting to fill up with people. Awas isn't talking, he's just backing away. You still see he's terrified, and he's looking at all the different aliens that are now in the room. You have the Bolian doctor, you have the Andorian medic, You have the EMH, which looks human. You have you that's human, but still an alien for him, and whatever race the security officers might be as they're coming in. And he's just seeming ready to pass out. And he half slumps down on the bed, but it looks like it's too much for him. He's starting to go into a panic attack again.
As people are filing in the door and I notice this, I kind of put my hand out towards the door to stop them and urge them to back out of the room and say, if everyone, uh, uh, he's having a panic attack, we need to keep as few people in here as possible. If possibly one medical personnel could stay with me and security could stay outside, that would be most beneficial to the situation.
The security guard, he steps out reluctantly, or the security guards step out reluctantly, but you know they'll be taking a position outside. The EMH Mark, he also takes a concerned step back inside. Now it's between Dr. Ardun and Lieutenant Thadagia. The doctor looks at you, Thadagia, and said, "Well, you've already met this man aboard his vessel. Perhaps he'll recognize you. I will observe from the next office."
Correct. I'm pretty sure he can handle this from here.
Okay, he steps into the office too, and he starts actively monitoring what's happening on his instruments.
Thank you for joining us. And then I turn my attention fully to Evos and explain. So it seems that your one of your main concerns is that we are not of the same species or origin planet as you. So we'd like to try and step over this gap of information and bring you up to speed on the people that are aboard this ship, that you're on board this ship with. And yeah, I wait to see his reply.
Okay, also, Gene, is there anything you would like to do?
No, I'm just going to keep an eye on him, perhaps go off to the side and prepare a hypo spray just in case he has another panic attack.
Okay, so we'll just have you file away, try to give him space, but be in an area where you can work and be ready to apply that. Okay. You're not really sure of how much he's listening to you, Lieutenant. He keeps glancing at you and glancing, like, really, his eyes darting back and forth at you and Thadagia, and just taking in the room, but his chest is heaving heavy. He's breathing really fast. You see beads of sweat pouring down the temples of his head. So whether he's listening to you and whether he's understanding what's actually happening here, you can't be sure of, but at least he is sitting down. Again, it might not even be of his own volition. It's just that he's in no state for standing right now.
All right. Lieutenant, could you administer something to help calm the patient?
Yes, I believe I have something that will work.
Okay.
I'm going to.
Okay.
I just want to approach him, but in a very calm manner, just reassure him. I'm just going to apply some mild sedative. This will help you calm down and take some of the stress off. May I do this?
He looks terrified at the device in your hand, but he's still composed thanks to the counselor, and after a moment he reluctantly nods his head.
It's very quick. And I'll go up to him and then apply it.
Okay. You stick it in his neck. It does the whole thing, and instantly you see his breathing start to return to normal. His tense posture starts to loosen up, and he, once the adrenaline releases or finishes pumping through his body, he just starts to lie back, and it looks like he's ready to just go into a deep sleep now that he's no longer on flight or fight mode.
All right. I turn to speak to Lieutenant without being easily overheard by Evos, and asks, "How long can we expect, or can you guess that the sedative will be in effect?"
Just the mildest that I've given him would be about 3 to 4 hours, but I
All right.
can administer something longer just in case.
All right. Well, let's try and keep him talking for now. So we want to just keep him comfortable, but also get as much information from him in order to improve his condition as we can.
Understood.
So I'll turn back to talk to him and ask him, so what, do you remember waking up in your ship?
What ship?
All right. What's the last thing you remember doing before being here on this ship?
The last thing I remember, I had dinner with my family.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And who's in your family?
My wife and my two sons.
What are your sons' names?
The oldest boy is, his brow starts to furrow, and he's squinting like he has a oncoming headache. The oldest, uh, uh, what was your question?
What's your wife's name?
I'm not married.
Uh, uh, all right, that's all right. Here, let me go get you some water to drink. And I stand up and walk back over towards Lieutenant Thadagia again. And as I'm preparing a cup of water to take over, I ask him, when you saw the degradation, do you think that that could be slowed if he was put into a medical coma?
It's possible, but I'm not entirely certain. Given his physiology, we're not quite familiar with.
Because his
I'm
yeah,
sorry, I was going to say, Gene, yeah, if you want to start running a scan on what that condition is, like analyzing the data, we could do that.
Okay, yes.
It's going to take a little time.
Because I'm afraid that his degradation of memories is speeding up, and in his current condition, even with the sedatives, he could easily have another mental break if he continues to lose his memories and the confusion mounts. So it might be safest for him and for the crew to to leave him unconscious until we can stop the memory degradation.
Agreed. I can run some scans here. It might take us a little longer than we want, but it shouldn't be a problem.
Then, in the meantime, while we're running the scans, why don't we put him under and let him get some rest?
Dr. Ardun comes out, and he's been listening, of course, the whole conversation. And he says he agrees with that. He thinks it's best that a man in his state should probably be kept under heavy sedation until it's clear what's happening.
All right, then I'll go back and talk to him, or I'll tell them. I'll go and I'll talk to him. I don't mean to take from your command or your position, but I seem to be the only one that he has the slightest bit of trust.
And might I recommend, the EMH speaks up, that somebody takes a look at that nasty bruise on your forehead?
That I'll be happy to have it examined after we have the patient fully taken care of.
Okay, so while everyone's preparing that, like, you're going to go keep him calm. Thadagia, you are, I assume, going to start researching that information, and Dr. Ardan is going to make sure the proper procedures are followed to make sure putting him under. While that's going on, we're going to jump the location, jump the scene to, where is it? We're going to the mess hall, where by this point we find our good old Lieutenant Commander Velik. Are you there with us, sir?
Yes.
Okay. Velik, again, you've been back from the main vessel for a while now. As you recall, you really put a lot of time really studying the ins and outs of the ship. If you can even call it a ship, you know it's how it got to where it is unclear, where exactly it came from. But even though it has engines, it's not a deep space vessel. It's more maneuvering thrusters, if nothing else, or short range engines. There's not anything that suggests it should be where it is. But all the long time you put into researching it and examining the equipment started to really wear you down. As you remember, you gained the unfocused trait last time. So you're back on the ship, you're off duty, and you're ready to not unwind, because as a Vulcan, you don't really unwind with your pure logic and non-emotional self, but ready to keep yourself focused, clear your thoughts, clear your head, try to get out of this funk that you were in from overworking on the dim ship. So you made your way to the mess hall to get yourself a drink to relax and focus yourself. And that's where you find you right now, standing at the food replicator in a somewhat busy, as usual, mess hall on the DeGrasse Tyson. But you have yet to order your drink. You're just standing in front of the machine.
So do I have to actually order the drink, or?
Well, that's what you're there for. So where are you getting?
Okay.
What would relax Lieutenant Commander's Velik's mind, Vulcan mind, on a hard-working night like this?
Let's go with Romulan ale, I guess.
Romulan ale. There you go. That's going to make you unwind. Okay, of course, anything synthesized in the food replicator, it's not going to actually be alcoholic, but it's going to have the same taste for it. So it's not going to be the real thing, but you're going to get what you want. So you call out Romulan ale to the machine, and then it makes a nice blue vial glass appear in front of you, and you pick up your drink. Take a look at the room. The room, as you could see, there's kind of full. There's a couple open tables. There's a couple tables with other crew members sitting on their days off, a couple sitting alone, other people ordering things. What do you intend to do?
I think just to unwind, I just kind of want to sit on my own.
Okay. So nearest table or corner table?
Let's go to the corner table in the back there.
Okay, the back by the window or the back in the way corner?
The back in the way corner in the alcove like thing, I think.
Okay. You want to move your character?
Oh yeah, sure.
All right. There you go. Let's see if everyone else can do it.
There we go. Okay.
Okay, you sit back there and you're sitting alone, just minding your own business. But you notice that there's a couple at the far end, sitting at a table. They're also engineering officers. So you see them around engineering frequently, just a couple of your assistants, more or less. And they keep looking back over at you. You notice that as you sit there and you try to enjoy your drink, one of them just keeps peeking around. And then finally, he stands up and he walks all the way back to the corner where you are. And he just stands by your table. Sir?
Yes.
I'm sorry, sir. Did we do something wrong?
Not to my knowledge. Do you think you've done something wrong?
I don't believe so, sir, but I didn't think you were finished with the briefing.
I was.
Oh.
Why do you ask?
Because you just excused yourself for a moment to get the drink and then you never came back. You just left us there.
Oh, I'm sorry. My head's a little out of sorts.
Oh, I see. Should we continue the briefing on the main vessel, or are we dismissed?
We'll continue the briefing.
Okay. Would you like to rejoin us at the far table, sir?
Yes.
Very well. He gives you a quizzical look before heading back to his chair. Okay, you go to the table where they're sitting at, and you sit down at the first open seat. You notice on the table in front of you, they're each holding a mug of what looks like just regular coffee, but there's 3 identical glasses of Romulan ale, the same as what you're holding, already sitting on the desk.
Where did these extra drinks come from?
The 2 engineers look at each other like, you keep bringing them, sir, but not, you don't drink it.
Is this a jest of some kind?
They look back and forth, even more confused now. Sir, are you feeling all right?
I believe so.
No jest, sir, the other officer said. We haven't touched your drinks at all.
Oh. Well then. Where was I with the briefing?
You were talking about the stasis pods and restoring life support, possibly?
Yes. We aren't really sure how long power would last if it was restored.
Exactly. Is there anything we could do to repair it?
see if you can find a way, if you can determine how long power could be restored for.
Oh, very good. Shall I send a small crew over?
Yes.
All right. Yeah, I'll get on that right away.
Thank you. Dismissed.
Okay. The one crew member quickly gets up, and his friend takes it as an opportunity to leave with him too, and you just hear them whispering to each other as they go walking off and exit.
Can I hear anything of what they're whispering or no?
You catch just as they pass, nothing in detail, but it sounds like they're talking about they sound concerned about you.
Okay. Maybe I should get myself checked out.
Okay, so you want to head to sick bay?
Yes, just as a precaution.
Okay. All right. Fortunately.
And as you're leaving the room, Lieutenant Commander Locke walks in. Lieutenant Velik, you are the new lieutenant on the ship, and of course, all new lieutenants must challenge the commander on the deck to a battle.
And then you're calling
Show
back
me
to
your
your way of
strength.
the warrior.
Show me your strength, Lieutenant Commander.
Oh my God. Everyone picks up their drinks like in the Western movie and runs away from like, oh, the commander's at it again. Okay. Yeah. Again, I want to remind you with the pep talk, you can't try to shoehorn that way of the warrior value into every situation, Chris. You're going to have to apply it to appropriate situation. No more duels to the death of your new lieutenants, okay?
That sounds like a very appropriate Klingon thing to do.
If you were on the Klingon ship, I would imagine that would be a wonderful way of breaking the ice. Unfortunately, for your poor Vulcan with a headache who wants to go to the sick bay, suddenly being in a batleth duel with a Klingon might not be what they want. But I appreciate the zeal. Okay.
What better panacea for a headache than a battle to the death?
Yeah, that's how.
Well, that would definitely get me to forget about the headache.
Yeah. I forgot why I was coming into sick bay, but I have a gaping wound in my chest. Okay. You as you approach sick bay, you notice that there are security guards stationed outside the sick bay, and as you go in, you see the counselor is still there. The alien who was revived on the ship is in a deep slumber on the bed. Dr. Ardon is in his quarters, and Jane will say you're probably at the research console in the research section doing your thing. I'll get to you with the roll that you have to make soon, but right now we'll have Commander Velik walk in. The EMH. Well, first I want to ask you, Velik, it's been a few months now on the DeGrasse Tyson. It's been a few months that you were there. I mean, aside from the routine physicals and the checkups that are required, have you been to the sick bay much?
No.
Say your character.
This has been the first time I've come other than routine.
Okay. You know that the emergency medical hologram seems to always be active 24 hours a day, even though that's not what it's designed for. And especially as an engineer, pushing these things to the limits is really always a bad idea. But for some reason, the chief medical officer never turns off the EMH. And the EMH, as usual, is the one who is always in the examination area ready to greet you instead of the medical officer himself. So you see the EMH turn around as you step through the door and says, Lieutenant Commander Velik, welcome. Please state the nature of the medical emergency. He chuckles to himself.
Not so much an emergency. I seem to be feeling out of sorts and just wanted to get myself looked at after exploring the other ship.
Oh, very well. Why don't you come over here to this bed and lie down?
Very well.
Oh, good. I thought you were going to lie down on top of Awas. Okay.
I could. I mean, does he want
to? just you climb up in bed next to him and like, next, what should I do? Okay. All right. Yeah, you picked an open bed, so that's a good thing. He starts running some scanners over your head and looking at routine there. So what exactly is the issue here? Are you feeling sluggish? Are you perhaps having indigestion? Are you attacking ensigns with a stool?
Not yet, but if this persists, that might be a possibility. I seem to be forgetting things.
As soon as you said that, he pauses in his scan and he turns behind and he looks directly at Lieutenant. Ensign, did you hear that?
I wish I had not.
Could you go inform our medical staff that they may need to come out here as well?
I certainly will. And I head over to find Lieutenant Didagia or the doctor.
Okay. Commander, the EMH continues with you. What exactly are you forgetting, which may be a ridiculous question to ask a man who's forgetting things?
I was in the mess hall and I had forgotten that I was briefing my subordinates and apparently had gotten the drinks more than once without touching the other drinks.
I see. And how long were you in the mess hall?
I'm honestly not sure. I thought I had just entered, but judging from my subordinates' reactions, it seemed that I was in there for longer than I believed.
I see. He keeps running the scanner his head. And what were you drinking?
Romulan ale from the replicator.
No. Glad you said replicator. If not, that would have been an easy diagnosis. Yeah. Oh, and this is a little bit tricky. Let me take a look. Please wait here. And again, resist any urge to attack our crew with any seats you find around here. Okay, Lieutenant going there. Gene, I'm going to need you to do a scan real quick since you're trying to diagnose the results from Awas. Do you have access to the dice roller or no?
No, my
Okay, that's not working for you. Okay.
No.
All right, that's fine. So again, you have your choice. I could roll the dice for you with my fancy dice, or you could just have Chris or Perry do the roll for you, or just on your character sheet easily.
Anything works for me. It doesn't matter.
Would somebody like to do it?
Let's see those fancy dice.
Let's see those fancy dice. Not that you can actually see where the camera's positioned, but all right.
Okay, that's my next Christmas present for you. I'm getting you a dedicated dice webcam.
Yeah. Which people do use on a lot of the videos I watch, but yeah, we're not that good yet. All right, so Gene, it's going to be a reason medicine, or it could even be insight medicine, but I think reason would make sense. Or reason medicine, and you're in sick bay doing this, so it's only going to be difficulty of 1. That's 2 of these snazzy blue science dice, because yeah, I do have the science dice too. I have the command division dice. I even have the ops dice and ops and security. So come on, people, come to my house, play the game, roll the dice. Perry, you could do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could do it. We could just sit side by side on camera here, like we're like the Bobbsey twins broadcasting. All right, let's see. That's going to be 2 dice automatically, of course. Your reason plus medicine gets you 13. Let's see. Any of your focuses apply, sir? Let's see. Xenobiology might, right?
Yes, I was thinking possibly xenobiology.
Okay. And let's see, do any of your talents apply? No, field medicine not appropriate because you're in the sick bay. No, that wouldn't work. And again, not that I'm expecting you to use one right now for this role, but again, I really want to encourage the use of values every game if possible, just to help everyone level up their characters and get a little bit stronger, or even give you access to abilities to level up the ship or supporting characters like Luton. Is there any value you would like to use that may apply? I don't know if it...
Perhaps this might be a stretch, but maybe the pure and simple truth value.
Yeah, that just
maybe
caught my eye too. Yeah.
A little bit deeper into what appears to be.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually like that, and I think that might work. So if we do that, that would use your determination point for this session. Shall we do that?
Yes.
Yeah, that actually might be really good. So yeah. Let's see. Used pure and simple. That's a really nice value Gene has here. It's called the pure and simple truth is rarely pure and never simple. Very nice for a research role like this. So again, that spends your point of determination. So now you don't have determination left here. As I explained before the game started, you get determination back by taking a negative on one of your other values where it hurts you for that situation scene. But that's okay. You're using that here. And just as a reminder, what happens when you use a point determination, that buys you your first extra die, your die number 3. But what it does when it buys that die, at least in this situation, there's other uses for determination. What it does when it buys that die is it automatically rolls that die and the die comes up a 1. The reason why it's explained that way is because you always have a 5 dice limit on your rolls. So you have to view it as you don't just get like 2 successes. You have to view it as I already bought 1 die. So any other dice you're going to buy from that point, the next one's going to cost you 2 momentum, and then the last one's going to cost you 3 momentum because you already bought 1 of the 3 possible additional ones. Is that clear?
Yes.
And just a roll thing. So you've already got 2 successes, but being in sickbay, you already only needed 1 success. So you know you've already passed the task, but we're still rolling the other dice to see how much extra you go over, because this will be extra momentum to bank or use for obtain information. And this is still a complication range of 2. So come on, blue dice. Come on, blue dice. So no, actually, these blue dice are horrible. And I rolled a 17 and 18 on there, sir. I apologize for it. So no, you failed, but you also did not hit the complication range. So nothing worse happened from there. But you still, like I said, automatically passed, and you gained 1 extra point of momentum. So you're at 4 in the pool right now. Okay. So what you're finding here, Gino, is, let's see here. Gene, are you on Discord?
Yes.
Okay. Which is easier for you, the usual messenger or Discord? Because again, I want to just send information this way instead of me saying it and then Gene just comes out and just parrots everything I say like we did last time. Is that okay with everyone? We're cool with
Sounds
that?
good to me.
Okay. Again, and also I just ask everyone to vocalize your answers because I can never look at the actual Zoom conversation while I'm doing this. I have to have other windows open. So
You can't watch.
Oh, sorry, I
my-
forgot I was still muted. But
You
yeah, that's fine.
can't-
Yeah,
You can't see my
Mercury's
static avatar
Yeah.
nodding its head.
Yeah, you should get an animated avatar where when you just click it, nods her head. Very, very sternly, Lieutenant nods their head. Okay, so Gene, should I just send it on Discord or Messenger? I apologize. I didn't remember which one you want.
either way works. Whichever works best for you.
Okay, well then I have Discord open right now. So I'll send you that message on Discord. Okay, if I can find you. Okay, so I'll just tell you what you're finding. Okay. Okay, meanwhile, while I'm going to type that as well, let's see, the Lieutenant, you're probably going to get Dr. Arden, but do you want to also go and tell Thadagia what's happening? Because he's the one that's also been on the ship as well. Lieutenant, that is.
All right, yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah, I'll head over into the room and talk to Sadaji about it.
Okay.
Ensign, how may I help?
A most concerning development. Lieutenant Velik has just come in complaining of mild amnesia and forgetfulness over the past hour or so.
Have any tests been run by any of the other staff?
Yes, our automated friend has been doing the usual run-up of tests and is currently speaking with them.
All right. Any conclusive results or tests? Results.
I didn't wait for any results, but as he's running the tests in the system, you should probably be able to access them from your terminal, I imagine.
Pull that up. Okay. I will keep an eye out on.
All right, thank you. I will try and keep going, give aid to the two of them as best I can. How is everything looking with our newest visitor?
So far, his vitals are holding stable. No changes.
So he accepted the anesthesia without issue.
Correct.
Good. All right, then I'll check in on Lieutenant Velik.
Okay, Lieutenant.
Ensign, before you go,
Okay.
I'm going to reach over and I'm just going to grab one of the devices here and just seal up the wound on your forehead there.
All right. Well, then, while you're doing that, I'll take the opportunity to ask you a few questions. Do you remember when we were last in the room together with our patient, with Evas?
I remember.
Good. And do you remember what our last course of action with Evas was?
Our last course of action.
Yes, the last treatment that we gave, or that we administered to him.
Yes, I believe I had administered the sedative.
All right. And before that, do you remember what you administered before the sedative that made him unconscious?
Yes, just your standard.
Okay. Well, I'm happy to see that it seems you have not been suffering from any short-term memory loss. So,
Have you been suffering from memory loss yourself?
not that I've noticed yet. But
Yes.
of course, memory loss is something that can be difficult to notice on your own, on one's own.
Well, if you ever feel out of odds or think something's out of place, feel free to come by at any time.
Depending on I appreciate it. Depending on the results from Lieutenant Velik, we might consider having everyone that's been to the ship, or running scans on everyone who's been to the ship, or at least asking them some simple memory-based questions.
Not a bad idea.
All right. Well, I'll go see how Lieutenant Velik is doing.
All right.
Okay, then let's see. We're going to clear the stress off of Lieutenant as she received her healing. So there we go. I don't really know how to take that little icon off there. There we go. That clicked off. Okay. As Luton leaves, your console beeps Stadagia, and you finally start to get the results of your intensive scan that you were doing. Did you catch them?
Yes.
Okay. So the results come in, and it's surprising to say the least to you. Okay. Let's see. What are you going to do, Gino?
Okay. I'm just going to relay the information to Lutan and basically perhaps whoever else was relevant to this particular scenario here. Perhaps Velik.
Okay. So you want to chase her out back into the main room there, the sick bay, right?
Yeah.
So you'll be running out as soon as you're getting the information off your screen, getting that. But first, Velik and Lieutenant, you're there. Right now, Velik, Dr. Ardan is trying to do like a couple memory tests for you. And so far, you don't seem to be having too many problems, but you still have this nagging sense of like your head hurting.
Okay.
Lieutenant, you're back with him in the main room there.
All right, Lieutenant Velik, you said that you had some issues with your memory while you were in the mess hall. Can you remember all of your time, or can you walk me through your time over on the ship?
Let me see. We went on the ship, and I could tell that I went to investigate the warp core and found there were no power in the engines. I had attempted to bring them back online, and I believe that was about everything we did, everything I did, at least.
All right, and then you came back. Sorry, did we have a shuttle or did we teleport? I'm sorry, I'm just trying to remember out of character. We transported, okay. And you came back and you beamed back aboard?
Yes.
All right. I quickly say 1 second, and I turn away and use my communicator to contact security head Drake. It's Drake, right?
Yeah.
And ask him what if he can give a quick report as to what Lieutenant Bellick did on the ship.
Okay. As you're attempting to communicate with Drake, that's when Lieutenant Tadagia comes into the room with his information.
Computer, activate a phase 3 isolation field.
Is there something that we should know about, Lieutenant?
So I ran some tests. I almost missed this from the beginning. Appears that there is a virus in his system, and it looks like it replicates, or at least mimics DNA. That's why it didn't show up in the first scan. I'm thinking that this is highly infectious, so I'm going to need a roster of anyone who has come in contact with our visitor here, AWAS, so he can run a scan on them as well.
All right, everyone that's been on the ship too?
Yes.
All right, well then I suppose that we should take this upstairs as quickly as possible, and we need to isolate everyone before it spreads.
Absolutely.
So I leave it to the lieutenant to contact the bridge.
Yes.
Okay.
And
This is Tadagia to bridge.
Okay. As you're calling the bridge, the doors of the sickbay open, and the security guard who was standing outside, he runs in with his phasers drawn.
Sir, what's the problem?
He looks around the room. What's wrong?
There's no emergency here.
You called for an emergency.
You called for an emergency earlier. Stand down. There's no problem here. Why don't you come over here and sit down here? I'm going to try to escort him over to one of the beds there.
Okay, you take him off to the side.
I'm just going to run a quick little scan here. Don't mind.
Okay. You start scanning him with your medical tricorder. And using the information that you've discovered from analyzing the scans of Awas, you start to, what you're looking for now. So you start to pick up traces of that same DNA hit that looks like Awas' own DNA inside the security guard.
Tadagia to bridge. Captain, we have an emergency. I'm requesting you go in red alert status. It appears that we might have an infectious virus loose here on the ship. I'm gonna need everyone to stay in their quarters. We're gonna run a scan on every member of the crew here. And we'll have all the information sent to you as soon as possible.
Okay, let's jump to the bridge real quick. Let's jump to the bridge if we can. That's even a thing that people do these days. Hang on a second. Oh, that's another thing. This might work. This might work. Hang on a second. Okay, go into the bridge real quick where the captain is with Commander Locke and a couple other NPCs there. You just get that alert in. Captain listened to, said, Understood, Lieutenant, but are you sure we have to isolate all members in their quarters?
At the minimum, we're going to have to isolate all the members who are in contact with our visitor.
Understood. Discuss this with Dr. Arden. I'm expecting a full report as soon as possible.
Absolutely.
She turns and looks to you, Commander Locke. Commander.
Bring the shrink ray. I will fight the virus on its own battlefield.
So you're using the way of the warrior value. Damn it, Locke, I told you. Can't fight everything with the battler. I should have never let you bring it aboard the ship. Okay.
All right. Well, have any other crew members shown signs besides the or have any of our crew members been infected?
Are you asking him? Yeah, making sure that you're still on the comm. Okay.
Yeah.
It appears one of our security personnel has been infected. I'm gonna do some additional scans on Lieutenant Commander Valek. It's quite possible that his recent amnesia might be a result of this.
All right, so we have a member of the crew who has not entered the foreign vessel, who has been infected, and a member that did enter the vessel that has likely been infected. So I would deduce then that both carriers and the ship are likely contagious. And so we should quarantine anyone who has come in contact with someone who's been on the ship, with our new visitor, or with the ship itself.
Yes.
We cannot have. So did the Lieutenant explain what was the symptoms of it to us yet?
I'm sure that he would explain. Yeah.
Okay. So assuming he's explained the symptoms, so we cannot have, especially the bridge must be sealed from this. We cannot have the leaders of this ship forgetting the objectives. So at that point, I would ask the captain if we can put the bridge in special quarantine. No one comes or goes from the bridge at all.
Good idea, Commander. Engage bridge lockdown protocols. Okay, so they start sealing off the bridge and making sure that nobody could just easily access it. You start getting a incoming communications, you see, and whoever's manning the tactical station in place of Drake, the ensign there, looks at you. Like, sir, we're getting word from the main vessel that another pod has activated.
Do we still have crew on the vessel? I guess I would know that, but...
You would know that, but it's always good to speak aloud, sir. I appreciate you keeping everyone up to speed. Yeah, you know, there's still a security crew on there, and then an engineering team just beamed over not too long ago.
Is there any medical personnel aboard the vessel?
Not right now.
Not currently. And sorry, just out of character, Lieutenant had been over there. She was called in before he got brought back or after he got brought back. I can't remember.
Before she talked him down on the vessel, and then she was the one who escorted him back over to the deGrasse Tyson.
Okay, and I have never seen this for Star Trek. What kind of like what kind of like anti-disease gear would they have on a science ship like this, if any, or technology? Like, is there some sort of like hazmat suit that can be sent over, or?
There would be, I don't know if there would be like their usual like Gene, I mean, help me out here on this, but you know, like a lot of the medical ones, when they go into surgery and then when they want to be like completely disinfected, they have like this like a full body glove type thing with a visor. But aside from that, and the usual like 0G gear, there doesn't seem to be any other kind of protective suit.
All right. Well, the first, do we have areas in which we can quarantine the crew who is currently aboard the other ship?
Are you asking this out of character, or are you asking this to?
I guess I would be asking. I guess I would be asking Lieutenant Tadashia, how can we best quarantine members that have been to the other ship, and how many can we quarantine?
What do you think, Tadashia? Utilizing your Star Trek knowledge.
Well, we can quarantine. I suppose we can quarantine every member who has been in contact with the ship in their quarters, and we can send our personnel to them individually. This could minimize, spread of contact amongst other crew members.
All right. Well, have any crew members that are currently aboard the other ship beamed directly back into their quarters where they can be quarantined.
Yes.
And inform them as to the update in the method that will cause the least panic. Yes. Although, as they are all members of Starfleet, I expect no panic from them. And as for our next sleeping beauty that is decided to join us, is Ensign Lieutenant still with you?
I believe.
Yeah, you're on the sick bay, right?
Yeah.
All right, please. If you're there with her and she is not busy, please have her contact me at her soonest availability.
Will do.
Okay, so you have the bridge locked down. You're going to try beam the crew members directly to their quarters, and you're fetching Lieutenant to figure out how to deal with the awakened person, right?
Yep.
Is that right? All right.
Yep.
Let's go back down into sick bay again real quick, unless there's anything else you need to do, Commander.
No, I think that's everything.
All right, let's go back down to sick bay for the time being. And here, we're going to say with the time that has passed right now, like Tadashia, now you already put up a protective field in the sick bay, right, to try to quarantine it, correct?
Yes.
That's right. Dr. Ardun has been taking this time along with Mark to go around with his tricorder and scanning everyone in the room, as well as looking over the data that that you pulled up from your research. He calls you over, Thadagia. He calls you over into his office. He's looking nervous as usual. Once you get into his office, looks at you, Lieutenant. I'm very, very concerned about these results here.
What have you found?
Well, I've been scanning everyone in the room here just to make sure. I know we've all probably been exposed to it, so it's no surprise to find traces of this virus that is looking very much unlike any virus I've ever seen before in our system. So that's not the shocking part. No, the shocking part is I looked at our security officer's original scan and my current scan to compare the two to see perhaps if it's advancing faster or slower in a different species than this menu. And I've found something even more disturbing. The problem is, he starts typing some keys onto his console to display it. Here's the first display, the one that you picked up on your own tricorder. You look at it and you see the same thing, the traces that look like the menu virus DNA inside there. And here's the second one. You look at it, it looks like the virus is gone.
So, what am I looking at here? Has the virus?
No, if you look closer, he taps a couple keys and you see as it's modeled in a different way, showing from a different perspective, the virus is still there. It has now camouflaged itself with his own DNA to hide. These viruses are adapting to cover the host that they are in, so they cannot be detected easily.
What is the end result?
The end result, he turns around to his large display on there and he punches up the feed from Awas's bed, is the severe and rapid degradation of all cerebral activity. And you see that even in his deep sleep, his mental capacity is rapidly declining.
Is there any way that we can halt the progress of this virus?
That's what we're going to have to determine, because if my readings are correct, not only is it adaptable to each host that it infects, but the fact that this poor security ensign was never on the vessel likely means that this virus is easily transmittable, perhaps even airborne. If we lock ourselves in here and we don't find a cure, the whole ship might degrade into a bunch of memoryless and abilityless crewmen who can do nothing.
Suggestions.
We need to understand this virus and we need to find a way to treat it quickly. And I'm not sure if a quarantine is going to do anything. He gets noisy and louder as he storms out back into the main room. So clearly, Lieutenant and Velik, you hear him panicking in there as he leaves Thadagia behind in his office. And he just goes back to Awas's bed, and he keeps feverishly tapping in keys and examining the information.
Oh, Doctor, is there something that seems to be bothering you? And I step away from Lieutenant Bellick to not involve the entire room in the conversation.
Bothering me? Well, just the usual. There's problems. There's a lot of problems here, and now you want to lock me in here instead of letting me do my job.
Well, you should know better than anyone, Doctor, that your job is to keep the ship safe, and staying in here is one of the best things you can do to do that.
Staying in here, yes, to find a cure. But locking everyone away is going to get this ship killed. I hope you understand that, Ensign. He storms back into his office.
I'm left standing there, not able to finish what I'm saying, and decide that for the time being, it's better to let him go on his own.
You know from your time also, since you're the only thing closest ship counselor on this vessel, that there's a lot of issues with Dr. Ardon. So this is nothing new. This is a typical counseling session with him.
At this point, I will, or did Lieutenant Tadagia ever talk to me or get a chance to come talk to me?
Not yet.
Not yet, okay. I will anyway message or call up the bridge, and tap my chest and say, "Bridge."
Okay, bridge response.
Wanted to give everyone here a heads up that it seems that the head doctor here seems to be suffering some mild symptoms similar to the Evos, the alien. No signs of memory loss yet, but more easily panicked than usual, and irritable.
Okay, they
So
note that.
Okay. Yeah, it's just so when thought this would be important for the bridge to know for if he needs to make any decisions concerning the ship and the current situation.
Okay, and while you're on line with the bridge, the commander's going to want to speak with you apparently. So he'll give you his orders in 1 second, in a minute there.
Okay.
But the doctor comes out. He goes back to Velik. Commander, how are you feeling?
I'm not sure why I'm here.
Neither am, well, I mean, I do, but I don't at the same time. But I think we're going to need all crew members to work on this. So why don't you stand up, make yourself useful. We need to figure out what is going on, and we need to have the senior staff thinking about this and not locked inside of rooms.
Maybe you should calm down, Doctor.
Maybe you should calm down, you Vulcans. Oh. Well, you should still calm down.
Doctor, I believe I am calm.
He's just flustered, not even listening to you, punching things in. Tadagia, why aren't you getting on this? We need to find a cure right now.
We're working on that, sir. I'm gonna need you to calm down. Respectfully.
I don't need to calm down.
Standing behind him without of his line of sight, I just do a exaggerated motion of sticking something on his throat and pointing at it towards the Dagia.
Kill him. Is that the gesture? Dagia pulls out his Andorian blade and slashes the doctor's throat. Got him, Ensign.
So am I the ranking officer in this room at the moment?
The doctor, I think, is of equal rank, and it's his room. So technically he is, but you also share the same rank. So yeah, you would kind of be a leader since you have your mind and wits about you.
Okay. Doctor, I'm going to have to ask you again to just calm down.
He turns to look at you. It's like, why does everyone tell me to calm down? Well, I'm the only one who knows what's going on here.
Okay, I'm getting kind of sick of the doctor. Can I Vulcan nerve pinch him?
do you have the Vulcan nerve pinch thing on what's it called? Talent? Did you take that talent?
See.
No, you didn't.
No, I don't.
So what happens is that doesn't mean you can't do it. It just means sort of like your character is just not really trained in doing it. Normally, there would be a situation like this where you could use like a point of determination to access a talent that you don't have, but you would logically have access to. And in a situation like this, it would be like you dig down, you just use that ability there, but you already spent your determination. So unfortunately, you won't be able to take that. But I suggest when you do level up your character, maybe that'll be a fun one for you to take in the future.
So in that case, can we start throwing some chairs around?
Yeah, throwing chairs would be good. Or just keep him distracted until Tadagia gets the hint from Luton.
Doctor, could you come speak to me in the other room for a moment?
What is it, Commander?
Doctor, you and I are the ranking members in this room. As such, we need to maintain a level head in this situation. Your actions are going to cause a panic.
Panic? I'm just trying to treat my patients. What panic are you talking about?
Doctor, please allow Thadagia to complete his work.
Tadagia, yeah, he can do his work. I'm not interfering with anything.
Doctor, just remain in here and calm yourself.
Cool.
Or I will be forced to find some other way to deal with you.
Here, Commander, I don't know where this is coming from in my own sickbay of all things. The EMH will come out at this point, and he's just holding his own medical tricorder, and he's scanning the doctor as you're talking. And what is this? I'm not stressing. I'm not panicking, Mark. I'm just doing my own thing. I'm just trying to get my daily routine done. That's concerning, Mark says. It would appear that the doctor is starting to suffer from an advanced case of whatever it is infecting all of you. Huh? What's affecting? What are you talking about?
What should we do with the doctor, Mark?
Well, perhaps for his own safety, it would be best if we were to sedate him and keep him from harming himself. Sedate me? That's ridiculous.
Doctor, please just submit to the sedation.
Submit to... He's just going to continue to protest unless somebody steps in and takes action.
Okay, so I'm going to grab him then so that Mark can sedate him.
Okay. So you hold on to him. The doctor's not really much of a fighter, so we don't really have to roll any kind of combat thing there, but yeah, you'll just hold on to him, and Mark will prepare a hypo spray and sedate him with a little psst. And then the two of you could carry him over to the bed.
Okay.
Okay, I certainly hope that's one of the memories he loses. Let's see. Luton, that's your name, Luton. I'm assuming you've contacted the commander, so give us the rundown what the commander wanted to say with you, so you don't have to have a conversation with yourself.
So the commander wanted to know my personal situation in regard to the disease, and if I had suffered any symptoms yet, and if I was infected, like everything along those lines.
Mm.
Which I would assume at this point, Lutant would have been scanned
Yes.
by Mark. So how is Lutant doing? Because I haven't seen. It hasn't seemed like she's suffered psychologically yet.
Not yet, no. But it
Um,
looks like everyone has at least a trace of the virus in them.
Okay, but specifically, was Lutant less than the others since she's not?
Right now, it looks like Lutant, as far as she's aware and far as everyone's aware, yeah, nothing major has happened just yet.
All right, then under those conditions, the commander asked that if she is willing, that he will not make an order to go back to the ship shortly, just long enough to help the next survivor awake from their craft and bring them back and put them in isolation.
Okay. Lutant's going?
Yes, she agrees to it without question.
Okay.
And I'm assuming at this point we've already brought back all of the other crew members.
Yeah, they probably, while this was being done, they were probably starting to be
Mhm.
beamed out. Yeah.
So yeah, she'll go over and inform Thadasia that what she's doing, and that
Okay.
she'll need another bed to bring the new person over and to sedate them in, because more than likely it'll be easiest just to have them sedated until the situation is resolved.
Okay. Let's see. We're going to you'll give all that information across, and we'll do that. And we're just going to skip ahead to a next scene then, if that's cool with everyone. Okay. So we're going to so when the scene moves on, then we remember we lose 1 point of momentum. So you're down to 3. So we're like speeding ahead the timeline a bit here. So we're going to go to new scene. I'm just going to hang on a second. Just going to take a little bit of leeway with the scene here, just to make it a bit easier.
Sorry, just to double check. When you mean we take down the momentum on our character sheets?
If you're keeping track on the character sheet, then yeah, you could mark it down to 3. So yeah, if you're doing that, it just.
Well, mine was at 2, so.
We started with 4, then we spent some, and then we got some back.
Okay, so back up to 3 then. All right.
Yeah. So it's again, the momentum is shared by all players. So we'll do that. Oh, and that's actually a perfect time to skip the scene and cut to a new scene, because we are now at 3 o'clock. We're at our usual break time. So let's take a little bathroom break, a breather, and then we'll come back and wrap up this scene. How's that?
Good. Sounds good.
All right.
And just an FYI, I'll probably have to go in an hour to an hour and a half or so.
Okay, that'll be fine. Again, like I said, the closer we get to the climax, I'd like to stop there anyhow, just to hopefully have David and maybe even Jeremy back by next week, and then everyone finishes the episode together.
Perfect.
So that should work. Like wherever we get, if we're at a good stopping point in an hour, then we'll just cut it there. If not, we'll push it to over until we get to a good jump off point.
So just a quick side thing I was thinking. So does this mean that since they were they were on the ship, that when they come back, we are just going to tell them that they don't remember any of the actions their characters took while they were gone.
Oh, the ones
Because it's going to feed
who are not
Jeremy
here.
and
Yeah.
Jeremy and David's characters.
Yeah, I was thinking that would be the best way, because like they're basically, it's just one of the effects of this virus there. So like David was here doing stuff and like has
Yeah.
no idea what the heck it was, and then comes back, and then hopefully by that time maybe Tadachio will found the cure, and then it'll all make sense. But if not, then he's just gonna have to bumble around like, didn't you do that? I don't know. Are you okay? So that would be one good way of explaining to the people who are not here for the session, like, well, it's just a side effect. So this is actually the perfect episode to be absent.
Yep. Okay, so see everyone in 5 minutes.
Yep.
Cool.
All right, I'm going to run get another drink. I'll be right back. Hang on a second. Let me pause the recording. Okay, back from our commercial break. So you lost 1 point momentum as we move to the next scene, but I'm also spending 6 of the 7 threat that I have here just to further the story along to the point where it needs to be, since we're dealing with literally half of a crew today here, so there's not other players to get into the different aspects of things. So with that 7th threat, what we are going to do is we are going to resume this probably about, I would say, maybe within like 30 minutes of the last scene, 30 minutes to an hour, the last scene, without knowing for sure exactly what time it was there. What's happened in the meantime is right now in the conference room, what's your name, Captain and Commander Locke, you're clearly there. That's on deck 1. The 3 of you who are still locked in sickbay are appearing live via camera on the screen, if that makes sense. For those of you who can see the Roll20, I hope that I'm displaying that properly in a way that makes it look like, oh yeah, they're on TV right now. Does that, everyone's clear?
That works.
All right, there you go. You're all 3 of you are on split. You're on a Zoom call with the commander and what's his name, the captain. So the captain is just going to do the whole plot catch-up thing that you see on Star Trek. So again, trying to mimic the flow of an episode here. She's scanning the data pad, looks back. I forgot to do that one thing during break. Looks back at the screen. So if I'm reading this correctly, Lieutenant Tadagia, it seems that this virus is that you have been researching is indeed rapidly propagating throughout the crew. And even those of us who have not gone aboard the vessel appear to be getting infected. So I believe it's safe to say it's airborne.
It looks that way.
And from the data that you've given on Dr. Ardan, as well as Lieutenant Commander Velik and yourself, Ensign Lieutenant, everyone that you've been able to scan properly, it appears that the way it affects and the rate at which it's affecting the victims varies depending on the species. Is that correct?
That is correct.
That's unfortunate. That would explain why Dr. Ardan maybe raced into a case of very hyper panic and being confused and unclear, while Velix thus far has only lost a few memories here and there, but nothing major yet. Yet we're getting reports throughout the ship that there's a lot more disturbances happening, and I don't know how much longer we're going to be able to keep the ship on lockdown in quarantine without a treatment.
I'm still working on that myself. Perhaps it can be administered through as an airborne treatment, but we need to know how to effectively attack this virus without it significantly altering any structural DNA.
Understood. So your mission then, Lieutenant, now that the doctor is incapacitated, I'm going to need you to work as fast and as diligently as possible and find us a means of stopping this virus from spreading through our crew and hopefully eradicating it. At the same time, if there's a way of distributing it quickly and easily to the ship, I believe that will be up to our Lieutenant Commander Velik to determine.
We're working on around the clock here, sir.
Ensign Lieutenant,
Yes, sir.
we've had the second menu sleeper sent to sickbay and put in stasis, have we not?
Yes, we have.
According to the security team who were there when this girl awoken, they claimed that she was very lucid and she seems to be very much in control of her own thoughts. Perhaps it might be best if you were to speak with her and see if you could find out any more information that you can about this disease that may help the lieutenant.
I'll do my best, sir.
Is there anything Commander Locke wishes to add in on this scene?
No, I think he's. I think he has already had everything said by the captain.
Okay, and he'll just be the nodding type first officer in this scene as you have. We all have our mission, and I'm afraid that time is very much of the essence. Lieutenant, if you cannot find a cure for this before we lose our memories, then this may be as far as the deGrasse Tyson goes on our journey.
Correct. I'm requesting permission to give full access and possibly to transfer any information over to Mark. He may be our only hope since he cannot be affected by this virus.
That's a good idea. Please work closely with our EMH.
Understood.
Lieutenant Commander, she turns to your Zoom window, Velik.
Yes.
How is the situation there in sickbay?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
I can, in fact. How is the situation there in sickbay? Are we doing well? Is there any threat?
The doctor started to become a bit agitated, but we have sedated him, and Mark has confirmed that he is an advanced form of this disease.
That's definitely unfortunate. As you are the commanding officer, of course you are in charge, but I'm relying on your Vulcan logic that should you become compromised by this virus, that you do not hesitate to give up command to somebody more capable without resistance. Is that clear?
Yes, Captain, understood.
I wish you well. Okay, any other comment on there before the Zoom call ends?
Yeah, just to kind of flesh out a little bit of what Locke is doing or going through, why he's quiet. It's mostly that all his talents and focuses surround dealing with other intelligent species, or at least with other, regular life-size threats. Whether it's like wild animals or more often than not, other intelligent people, and having to deal with starship protocols and tactics and large-scale battles. He's completely out of his normal game, having to deal with something like an outbreak in the ship. And while he's able to keep himself composed, it's distressing to him that he's not able to help any more than to be a stern post of command to say the quarantine will go into effect now and everyone will listen to it. But he can't really do much more than that.
That's a really good point, actually. And so if you want to do a short social scene with the captain after the call ends, that might be a good way of getting the characters' feelings out on the table. So we'll just do a very brief scene there, but that would be good. Okay. Anyone else want to chime in anything before the call ends?
Nope, I'm good.
No. You have your orders. Report back to me as soon as possible. And then the screen goes black, just like they always do on Star Trek, without properly saying goodbye, and it awkwardly ends. Okay, it goes back. Now it's just the two of you sitting alone in the conference room. The captain turns, looks at you, frowning in your Klingon frowning way, saying there, "Commander, that is uncharacteristically quiet of you during this meeting. You know I often give quite a lot of responsibility to you during these missions, and I know you have very respectfully been keeping your opinions to yourself about my fitness of duty. However, that's for another day. I'm wondering, is there something on your mind?"
The enemy we faced today is quite uncharacteristic of our normal foes. It is not a battle I'm used to fighting, nor one that I'm comfortable leading our people into battle against. I fear that I might not be able to protect them to the same degree that I usually hold myself to.
I understand. You're allowing your Klingon sense of honor as a warrior to cloud your mind where you should be thinking as a Starfleet officer.
Perhaps that is so. I worry that the two parts of me mix, my honor for defending those weaker than me or lower in my command is very important to me, and I fear that I cannot defend them against a foe that I cannot fight.
I see, and I can understand your concern, but part of the challenge of wearing those pips there on your neck is to adapt and overcome any challenge that may face the crew. And if there's anything that I'm certain of, Commander, after these months working with you, is that you'll be able to find a way to defeat any enemy, big or small.
I appreciate your trust in me. I will consider that when making plans for our next steps.
Very good, Commander. And I hope we are able to lend all of our strength to our good lieutenant down there in the sick bay. And as she says that, she pulls out her tricorder and she slides it very carefully across the table to you. It's open and you see the results on there. I've scanned myself based on the data I've been receiving from sickbay since they determined the nature of this virus. And I'm afraid that even without a medical tricorder, I'm picking up the hints of this DNA marker. If I'm infected, Commander, I fear that we all are.
Well, I'm ready to take command of the ship if so need happens, but I trust that our crew will find a solution before something so drastic takes place. So let us all do what we must to bring this to a close in an efficient manner.
Agreed. Let's return to the bridge and make sure that our ship doesn't fall apart before then.
All right, ma'am.
Do you go out? Next, jumping to sick bay again. Where everyone's there. Now we're in sick bay. You got Awas in his bed. You got Dr. Ardan sleeping in his bed. Right now, the security officer is just seated on the stool in the corner of the room by the door, hoping he's able to do his job. And the new Menu female who was beamed over 40 minutes ago in the other examination chamber. Now I'm going to jump quickly to Gino, to Thadagia real quick, because you're going to be the one who's taking the point on finding a cure, correct? Since there's no other medical personnel around here and you're locked inside of the ship. So let's get to you first. Doing this, since you're in the sick bay, that's a good thing that you're able to use the sick bay. It's going to be an extended task. Do you remember the extended task?
Extended task here.
The extended task system of how that works in this game.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Perry, I don't believe we did an extended task the last session, so this might be the first one for you to see.
Okay.
So what an extended task is, excuse me, it's a, well, as it says in an extended task, it's not usually done in a single die roll. It's something that takes time. It builds up over time. There's intervals. Some of them, and many of them actually, are timed. This one itself would also be timed because you are working against the spread of this virus. Like, you want to find a cure before the crew is entirely incapacitated, is the timer on this thing. As that right now is a little bit ambiguous, I'm not going to tell you how many intervals you have left, only that it's crucial to get done as soon as possible. Okay?
Okay.
So what an extended task looks like is it has a usual difficulty, like any task, of the number of successes you need. However, it also has its own stress track, just like your character has stress that you take before you're knocked out or defeated. And the ship has shields, which is basically the stress track. All of these combat systems and this extended task, it all fits the same mechanics. So what you have to do for extended task, and Gene will start the first roll in a moment, you roll against the task as usual. Then if you succeed, then you roll the 6-sided challenge dice, just as if you're making an attack and you're rolling damage. And this is the amount of work you are accomplishing on this task. So instead of damage, it's work you're applying to this really huge task that's going on, and you're kind of weakening the stress to reach the end of the task. Now, it also has a magnitude level. So the harder the task, the more difficult goal to accomplish. It might have like magnitude like 3, or very hard ones, magnitude 4 and 5. So that's the number of breakthroughs, they're called, that you need to achieve in order to successfully complete the task. So it sounds really complicated and convoluted. We've only done it a couple times before, but it's a big part of the game. Basically, you want to try to hit a number of breakthroughs equal to the magnitude of the task, and then you're successful. But every roll attempt you make eats up 2 intervals of time. And for this particular one, you don't know exactly how many intervals you have. But momentum could also be spent to try to speed up your intervals and like slow down the progress of things going on. But you'll get to see it in action in a second. But I just want to let you know, in case you have an extended task coming up, what this whole deal is. And if there's combat, it's pretty much the exact same mechanics. So watching this is kind of like watching combat itself. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So Gene, we're going to get you started on this. So obviously, let's see here. All right. Okay, you realize that you needed samples from the menu themselves to try to get to try to work on a cure, but fortunately you have two menu in your sick bay as it is. So now you're using them as the base. You're using your own bodies and blood and that as samples to compare against. So to start with this, let me find where this cure thing is. Okay, I just make sure extended task. This is going to be a control and medicine task, Gino. Okay, and the ship, of course, since you're using sick bay, you're using that. You have all the sick bay with you there, so you'll have computers and medicine from the ship to help you as well. If there was like another medical person that could help you, they would be able to support you on this, but it doesn't look like you really have a staff there since the doctor's really gone. And let's see, Velik doesn't really have any medicine type things, right? And Lutant is going to be busy with the menu. So for the first roll, probably nothing. Okay. Now, this one, again, it's going to be difficulty 4. And it has a resistance of 2, which, again, just like armor and that, it's going to, even if you succeed, what you roll on the challenge dice, it's going to eat 2 points off of the challenge dice roll. Okay? And this one is also it's a tricky thing. You're trying to find a cure in an extremely short amount of time, which is why I think so hard. The work track is 12 and the magnitude is 4. So again, what happens with this, you don't have to burn through the entire work track, but if you do, it makes things easier. So if you get at least 5 points of work done on your challenge dice roll, that counts as a breakthrough, even if there's still more of the work track to go, because you've accomplished like a lot of work on it. But once you get a breakthrough, it makes the next check easier. So it goes down the difficulty. And if you use up the work track, if you blow through the work track, just like stress in combat, that's another breakthrough. And then any point after that on future rolls is another breakthrough, because the work track's already gone. You basically found the route there and you're just plugging in the final pieces of information. So the thing is, you don't have to eat up the entire work track to succeed. You just need to get those 4 breakthroughs because it's magnitude 4. Okay? Okay. Again, if that's confusing, we'll see it work in action. Who wants to roll for the deGrasse Tyson for this first roll here? Either one of you. Gene clearly can't, but
Sure, I guess I'll do it then.
okay. So open up the deGrasse Tyson's character sheet. So got that. Now,
hold on a second. It's loading up.
Sure. Gene,
Okay, there we go.
you're doing control and medicine, right? Do you have any focus that would count on that?
Maybe emergency medicine. I'm not sure. Either emergency medicine.
No, probably not emergency.
We still have this biology.
Yeah,
but I'm not sure.
xenobiology maybe because it is an alien virus. It is something different, and you're trying to adapt to that, and you're using the Maynard DNA. Yeah, we'll say that that counts again too. So that counts. Any talent here? It doesn't look like it. Yeah, no talent applies here. Okay.
As far as values, can that be applied here as well?
Well, you've already spent your 1 point of determination for your pure and simple truth one when you spent that. So you've already used that. The only other way your value would come into play would be is if you took it in a negative way, which would then make this a lot more difficult for you, which in this situation might not be the best time to use that as you're the only person who might keep everyone alive safely. So if there's nothing else to contribute from other people, then you also, again, you still have 3 momentum. So if you spend all 3, that can get you up to 2 more dice.
Okay.
So would you like to spend any? And this is also a situation where you could also buy dice with threat as well. So even with only 3 points of momentum, you can still buy a 5th die by gaining 3 threat.
We'll go with the first option there. We'll spend it.
How much momentum?
Let's see. We'll spend
One-
1 for now.
1 for 1 more die. Okay. So again, pass or fail, this is still going to eat up 2 intervals of time on however much time you have before things get too grim. Okay. All right. So that'll be 3 dice for you. You have a focus. Your control is 10. Your medicine's 4, so you need 14s or lower. Perry will then support you on the deGrasse Tyson, which deGrasse Tyson is doing, let's see, computers and medicine. And deGrasse Tyson is always assumed to have its focus applied because you're using its system. So you would say
Okay.
focus, yes. And it's only 1 die on the task roll, so not a 2 because it's support. Okay, I'll roll for you first, Gino, okay?
Complication range stays at 1.
Complication range stays at 1 for you, yes. But it's actually higher for Gino. So complication range is 3 for him. Okay. You can roll that. So no success on there. You got a 1, a 15, and a 4, Gene, which the 1 counts clearly as a critical success. So that's 2. And your medicine is 4. So that means your 4 also counts as 2 successes because your focus applied. So you did get 4 successes as you needed. On your own too, by the way.
Damn.
Yeah, that's impressive. 1, 4, and 15, and even 15 didn't trigger the complication. So now you roll 5 dice. No, wait. Hang on a second. I think I did this wrong last time. I think it's 2 plus what was it? Plus your skill. Can you just give me 1 second to look this up? Because I know I screwed it up the first time we did the extended task, and I want to do it right this time. Can I have a minute?
Take 2.
2? Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I remember last time I couldn't remember the exact number of dice, and I just winged it. But God, I didn't want to wing it this time. And of course, when the moment comes, I completely blank as usual. That's 91. Okay. All right. So I believe it's 2 plus your skill. And I just want to make sure. Okay. 2 plus equal to the discipline. Yep, see, I got it. Okay, so it's 2 plus your discipline, so that's 6 of the black challenge dice, okay? So here we go. And remember, this has a resistance of 2, so that's going to... Hot dang, that's pretty good. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5 points of work. 5 points of work on there. 2 is going to come off because of the resistance. But here's one other thing though, Gene. You can use momentum. I don't know if you have your charts, your help sheets of how momentum can be used in these situations. You can spend 1 point of momentum to remove 2 resistance. So actually, if you spend 1 more point now, that 2 resistance that's there would be negated. So that you would then do 5 points on the work track if you did that, which 5 points is 1 breakthrough.
Let's do that.
Okay, so spending that and you're canceling out that resistance, and then you have just enough to knock the work track down to 7 from 12, and you hit your first breakthrough. You need 4. You hit 1 of them, and that means the difficulty is going to be reduced for the next time you do it. So all in all, that was a really successful first run at that.
And I have 1 momentum left, right?
And there's 1 momentum left because you rolled just enough. You didn't roll over. So this is your first step of breaking down what the virus is, looking at it, and researching the way you're going to be able to defeat it. So this is going to take some time. So you're at the station doing this for now, okay? So you're going to be busy doing this for a little while until we get back to you. So let's go back in the other room where Velik, Commander Velik, and Ensign Lieutenant, you are there with your the new Menu, who is still unconscious. It's your call when to awake her if you want to interview her about what's going on. Otherwise, you're just locked in the room with rapidly degrading people.
We should probably wake her up then and get some answers.
I agree. But if you don't, I understand the difference in our ranks, sir. But if you don't mind while we're talking to her, if we can leave most of the talking to me, as it seems that I just want to avoid the situation we had with the first visitor, as he was extremely scared upon waking and seeing a unknown life form. So this is what I've been trained for.
I agree.
Thank you, sir. Well, let's begin.
Okay. All you have to do is just take a hypo spray with the proper medicine, and that should bring her to.
All right, I'll do so.
Okay, so I assume you're by the side of the bed. Velik, where would you like to stand? You could position yourself there.
I'll just stay right over here.
Okay, Mark is going to still be monitoring the other members, the doctor and Awas, and then just a quick psst, and the girl's eyes start blinking. She wakes up, squints at the light above her eyes, and slowly sits up. Where am I?
Hello, my name is Ensign Lieutenant, and this here is Lieutenant Commander Velik. You are currently aboard our ship, the USS Neil deGrasse Tyson. We are nearby. We are floating alongside with your ship where we found you, coming out of cryofreeze. How are you feeling?
Honestly, I feel like I'm in a dream.
That's quite normal, having come out of the state you were in. your mind will probably be a little bit foggy as it takes time to fully wake up.
Yeah, I was hoping when I woke up it would be a different world, but I wasn't expecting it being a alien world.
Ah, well, it seems that you have your memories seem to be intact from before you went to sleep. Can you tell me anything else you remember from before?
Yes, my father was very adamant about getting me frozen as soon as I was diagnosed. I didn't even have time to tell my friends. So it
mm,
hasn't quite taken
di-
hold of me yet.
diagnosed.
Yes, I I really didn't get much information from the other aliens who were there when I woke up, but I it I really don't know what the state of my people are or what the disease is like. But as I don't see any, she glances around the room and she catches a glimpse of the red skin of Awas on the bed around the corner. Like, is is that another of my kind?
We believe it is. We found he was in the cryogenic storage on the same ship as you.
Yeah, then he must be another one in the stasis. May I see him?
Uh, for now, we are keeping everyone quarantined because there seems to have been some sort of virus within your ship or the stasis chambers. We have not determined exactly where it came yet, but from the sounds of it, you might have an idea.
So you're not aware of the disease.
No, we found your ship floating derelict, and we decided to investigate.
Uh, derelict. What happened to my planet?
Hmm. To be honest, uh, I'm afraid we don't even know what planet you're from.
I uh, well, I guess I will be the ambassador of my species. I'm from Menu, and
Maine.
you look. She looks at Velik. She looks at Luton. Like you look like you're from a variety of places.
Hmm. We are all part of the Federation, and hopefully your people will be able to join as soon as we're able to deal with the current crisis upon our hands. Uh, is there
Yeah.
I hate to press for details, but time is of the essence currently, and you seem to be handling this extremely well.
Extremely well. I don't know what else I can do right now.
Uh,
And any information you give us would be very helpful at this juncture.
Sure.
uh,
Yes. Yes. What
do
do you
you
need?
remember? Do you remember any information about the disease that you had, or that your species might have had?
Oh,
That
yes. Of course. Well, of course. For me, it, it's called Choren's disease. It.
trend disease. It's always good to have a name.
Yeah. Well, this is not a name anyone on my world wants to hear, and unfortunately, far too many of my people do hear it.
What can you tell us about this disease? We know some from our experience with it, but there's so much that we currently do not know.
Well, it's a very, as my physician put it, a destructively degenerative disease for our brain. It basically eats away our memories, and then everything we are, it reduces us to our most basic urges and primal instincts until we don't even have any intent at all. And many people just end up wasting away as they don't even eat or sleep, drink. They just lose all aspects of themselves.
And how is it transmitted?
We don't know. We just get it.
All right.
I'm afraid that one of the horrible things seems to be that my people don't quite recall where it's come from. It's unfortunately infected nearly every member of our species, perhaps every member. It's just a matter of time when it triggers. And I remember our teachers in school used to say that that's why we've never advanced. But we
So this is a long. So this disease has been around for a long time in your people.
longer than I'm aware of, and longer than I'm sure many of our best scholars can pinpoint. But I know the Hope Initiative had been in place for at least 100 revolutions before I was frozen.
And what's the Hope Initiative?
The yeah, you really, I'm sorry, you really don't know anything about my people, do you?
Unfortunately, the Federation's never come in contact with your people.
It's the box you found me in, that was just one of the chambers. Hope Initiative is a way of isolating and preserving. She looks down as if like something's eating away at her. The best and brightest of our society, in hopes that when a cure is found, that we can resume with some of the greatest minds that have ever lived on Menu.
I see. Well, we're currently doing our best to identify the disease and find a cure for it. Your people's hopes might not have been misplaced if your spaceship technology is any indication of your people's technology. I mean, no harm in saying that it's quite primitive in comparison to ours. In fact, I hope to console you with this fact, as hopefully our medical technology is also as advanced in comparison as our ship technology is. And if that is the case, we have a good chance that we should be able to cure this disease in a short period of time.
That sounds even more like a dream than being inside this fantastic room.
Well, I'm gonna let you rest for now, and I need to go talk with our with our medical officers to try and continue moving forward on our search for a cure. If you need anything, you can call for our simulated medical assistant, Mark. He'll be more than happy to help you.
That's great. If I could just make one small request. She looks back and forth between you and Velik.
Of course.
It's, well, I actually don't know how long it's been, but it's been a while since I've relieved myself. It would be a small pleasure to find a way to how do I put it gently, make water.
Oh, but of course. And I escort her to the facilities.
Okay.
which I've never seen on a starship.
Oh, they're there. They're there. Actually, you do see one. You do see one in Star Trek V, I believe. Is that right, Gene?
Okay.
Yeah.
In the, what was it, in the brig? There is
Yeah.
a toilet there. Which
They just wear the pants.
yeah, they just all crap themselves constantly. No, wait,
Well,
but
then they could. The ship can't just be set up to automatically beam their waste out of their pants, right?
well, we're not going to even tell you what the new show Star Trek Discovery introduces with what they do with their waste matter, because I never want to speak of that show, but maybe later when I'm angry and drunk, I'll tell you what they say about it. Okay, as you're walking her to the loo, which we'll say is over there in that private chamber right there, we'll say, she passes by and she looks at Awas on the table, and she stops. She's like, is that Kate? She looks at you and she looks at Velik.
I believe he told us his name was Awas.
Yes, that's it. Awas Kate.
Yes, he was the first one we found, the first one to awaken. And unfortunately, his memory loss seems to be quite advanced. So for the meantime, we've sedated him to prevent him from hurting himself or anyone else.
I was in the same box as Awas Kate.
You speak of him as if he's a man of some significance.
Well, yeah, he's one of the ones who developed the idea and the technology for the Hope Initiative. He was one of the first that they put under, even though he resisted it. But my people said that they need to have his know-how in case by the time they unfreeze everyone, the technology is outdated. But I never seen, well, I mean, he would have been dead by my time anyhow. I've only seen his image in text.
Well, unfortunately, in his current state, he's not going to be of much help to anyone.
And the same is going to happen to me one day, isn't it?
Not if we have anything to say about it.
She gives you a smile, Velik. I truly hope I can believe in you, aliens.
I'm really glad you went for the positive reply, because I was about to have a negative reply, and so it is much better that you said a positive reply.
You're probably going to die a horrible death, but that's okay. We will tell your family when we find them.
I guess she hasn't quite learned bedside manner in the counseling program.
Yeah, that's why she's still a counselor in training. She's still not a counselor. It's like, oh no, you dead, bitch. Like, huh? What? Okay, so she's going into we're assuming the toilet's back here. Okay, leaving you all alone there while she does her thing, and Jean's still working away at breaking through to the other side. Okay, any little conversations you two want to do together before I jump to the next part?
I think I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think we're all right.
Anything valid? Okay, just very, very quickly then, very quickly then, on a little scene here on the bridge. Also, again, since on the bridge, there's still, I don't want to force you to take over a character, so, but because normally you only get to do one supporting character per game, and there's no telling what kind of support you want to have in possibly the end of the scenario when it's really important. But if anyone just wants to take over one of the other support characters when we're in a different scene like this, like Gene if you want to, or Perry if you want to, and just to voice them. Since these aren't actually action roles and you're not attempting tasks or anything there, I won't count it as in you're playing that character unless you lock in on them later on. But if you want to just grab one of the other pre-made characters we had, or just voice another person on the bridge just to stay in the scene, that's always going to be an option. So just remember that.
Okay, sure.
And right now, like the character, I have Specialist Fox already on the bridge, but we could always just plop any of our other crew members that we've established before as being on the bridge. So I'll put Engineer Moranth, his picture up on up on the side there. So any character we want to drag into the scene, we'll have that too. It's no reason to create a new character yet since we're not making full character, or they could just be an unnamed extra that you're just voicing for one of these badges we have on the D20 bridge. Okay.
Okay.
All right, but jumping back to the bridge for a very brief scene here. We'll have the ensign at the tactical station who's filling in for Lieutenant Drake, who's a little more far gone than the others in his memory loss and confined to quarters. He's only that he taps a couple of keys on his station. Captain, I'm getting more reports in here that there's a lot more unrest appearing on deck 7. It appears that some of the crew members who are losing their memories are forgetting exactly what they are up to, and a lot of fights are breaking out, and there's a lot of panic, it seems. Captain looks over at you, Locke. Commander, this is getting out of hand.
I'm surprised that so many Starfleet crew members break down into fights after forgetting just the past few moments or even days. One might think that they'd need to forget all the way past their train back before Starfleet Academy before they would start acting in such ways.
That might be exactly what's happening right now at this rate.
As a side thing, because this is something Locke would know, what kind of ability do we have to lock people in their rooms?
You'll be able to have like force fields in the corridors. You could do security overrides to try lock things down. So it's all possible to try to lock different sections of the ship. But again, at the same time, if you keep locking everyone out of things, there's not going to be anyone to maintain the ship. And the fact that you're in like a very rough section of space, if you run into one of those gravitational eddies or any other disturbance that's drifting through this area and you don't have the right people at the controls, it could be catastrophic.
Okay. In that case, and also, can I just pretend like or can I talk to security head Drake? Because he's going to be the one that I'd be assigned if he were here. If David were here, he's who I'd be assigning stuff to.
So
is he in the room? I guess is what I'm asking.
Who are you asking for?
For Drake, for David's character.
Okay. Also, David's character, he's one of the ones that you've locked in the room for now, since he was on the ship the longest.
Okay, so he's locked away in his room. And
yeah.
And so he's not the head of security right now. So do we have a head of security to replace him?
There's no real head security. There's just this unnamed badge that's sitting there who's one of the security officers.
Okay. Then I won't worry about it then. I'll just be more general with orders. So let's see. All right. I believe a best course of action for now is to isolate which crew members are suffering the strongest, or we need to isolate the crew members that are suffering the strongest symptoms. And at the same time,
try and create a skeleton crew of crew members who have shown some sort of resistance to the disease. Lieutenant, I seem to remember Lieutenant Theodosia saying that different species were affected differently. If we could possibly get a report on which species seem to show the most resilience, possibly humans, seeing how Ensign Lieutenant has shown so much resistance after having been on the ship and in direct contact with 2 of the patients. Depending on if we can get a full report on how many, on which species is most resilient and how many crew members we have of that species in each of the major areas of the ship. If it's possible to have a full skeleton crew of resilient species, then hopefully we can separate the other crew into quarantine until a cure is found.
Okay, you tell that to the tactical officer,
Captain.
right? Captain.
And
okay.
to the captain, yeah.
That's a good idea, Commander. However, I'm not sure how we're going to get skeleton crews into the correct areas if everyone's in lockdown. And to get there, they're going to have to mingle with one another. This might not be the easiest task.
At this point, it seems as though the entire ship is infected, so preventing the spread is no longer an issue. The lockdown at this point is a matter of keeping people who cannot behave appropriately in a safe place they'll keep themselves and others safe. I believe that we should consult Lieutenant Theodosia on his current findings and on other information that might help us to create a plan of action.
Good idea, Commander. Let's get a message down to sickbay and get a full report here as soon as possible. Okay, anything else before we leave here?
Don't think so.
Okay. And going back down to sickbay right quick. Okay. Gene, we're gonna have to make your second roll here. Ready for that?
Yes.
Okay.
You need the starship again in this too?
Yep. We're gonna need because he's utilizing the starship power. Okay. So now let's see here. That's again 2 dice for Gene. Same thing. You got. It's going to be difficulty of 3 this time because you've already got 1 of the 4 breakthroughs you needed. You're isolating the virus. Now you're going to need to figure out a way to like neutralize it. So with this, you have only 1 point of momentum left. Are you going to spend that?
How are we looking as far as how close are we to success?
You still need to get 3 more breakthroughs.
Okay, then yeah.
Okay, so you'll be rolling a 3rd die now. Then, and again, you can always buy more dice with threat now that your momentum's dried up.
Okay.
Perry, you're only rolling the 1 die again, and make sure the focus is on. Okay.
Okay.
All right, I'll roll for you, Gino. I'll see. Oh, this ship is terrible at medicine, isn't it? Okay. Okay. Let's see. Gene, you rolled a 14, a 10, and a 19. So that's only 2 successes. So no, you didn't get. And the 19 is a not a threat. It's a complication which gains the threat there.
Gains, yeah, right.
So the
to use a threat against the threat. Well,
what's that?
That would have. I was thinking
You were thinking what?
Oh no, just about if I could use a threat against a threat, but I don't know. That's gonna.
Oh no, what happens is when you use threat, you gain the threat.
Okay, and I just gained.
So I mean, if you buy with if you buy with threat, it just gains the threat already. And then when like there's a complication or a big problem like that, it can also add more threat in as well.
Okay.
So you wouldn't actually spend it like you spend momentum, you just add more to it. It's just by you're doing things a bit riskier in like RPG terms.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see very quickly here I'll save that for a second. With that said, like Gene, you've been working there for a while and you start getting calls in from the bridge. Maybe it's because you're being stretched in different directions that you weren't able to focus much this time. That's why you didn't get the success that time. But again, this is going to eat up 2 more intervals of the time here. So keep that in mind, that time is running out and you're not making progress. Now the virus is just it's really tricky. And you as a lieutenant who's not the CMO, you're really pushing yourself to the limits to try to isolate it. But right now it's not having the best luck. Okay.
Can I call out to Mark? Mark, do we have any medical personnel that you are aware of that's currently in lockdown that you can call to sickbay?
Well, it's possible we could get more members in here, but I'm not sure the condition that they are facing, and we might not know until they arrive here in person. They might be too far gone by then. Oh, and actually, I didn't even see that. Velik, when you rolled for the ship, the starship, I see it's a red circle. That means you rolled a complication as well. So that's actually even more threat that gets piled up there, which is interesting. Could be exciting for later. Okay. I could try to provide assistance, but I'm afraid I won't be able to tend to the patients in the other room if I do that.
No, that's fine. Tend to the patients. We're gonna have to take a calculated risk here. I just randomly summon, preferably if we have any human staff that's on lockdown.
I'll see what I can find.
Thank you.
Goes into the doctor's office. Lieutenant, you've been standing outside the toilet for a while and the menu girl has not come out and you haven't heard a sound from her in a long time.
Boy. So I'll lightly knock on the door and ask her name, see if she's there. Is everything all right?
There's no answer. So you're like kind of like calling softly in through the door. Okay. No answer.
No answer. Can I use the ship to check and see if she's okay without breaching privacy?
How would you like to do that?
Well, the ship can do a scan. How well can the ship in the med bay scan in the toilet?
Well, a lot of times on
like,
Star Trek, they'll ask like, "Computer, please locate such and such,"
Yeah.
and they'll tell you like where they are. But I don't think they could say if like somebody popped a blood vessel while taking a dump in the toilet. So, like,
Well, can they tell if they're like conscious or not? I don't know. Like they can tell where someone is. Can it tell like if they're conscious or?
I don't think so. No.
Okay. They'll just say ship is the second Minu still in the toilet?
The my new visitor is in sickbay.
Great. I'll knock again. Are you all right in there? If you don't respond, I'm going to be forced to come in.
Still no answer.
Ship, please unlock the door to the restroom.
Okay, there's a little beep boop, and the door unlocks.
And what do I see?
Door opens.
All right,
and,
open the door. Yeah.
Yeah, door opens and it's empty.
It's empty.
How is it empty? Where did she go?
You turn around and you see she's back on the bed.
Oh gosh. All right. Valak, it seems that I'm starting to be affected by the memory too. And it looks like you might have forgotten that she left the toilet also.
Yes, that's how it would appear.
I believe that I should inform Lieutenant Tadaji of this, as my ability to help him will soon be, will not soon be what it once was.
Yes.
So I go over to talk to Tadaji.
Okay. While you're doing that, just a second, the menu is going to call out to Velik. Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
I really don't know what's going on here. Is there anything I can do to help, please?
I don't suppose you know of any treatments that have helped with symptoms of this disease?
To be perfectly honest with you, I don't know anything. I shouldn't even be one of the ones frozen. I have no contribution to my society. It just my father is a wealthy man, and he used his connections to put me here. I'm taking up a useful space for someone else. I don't know why, and I don't want to do it, but I want to help. I want to do something to justify why I'm still here, when who knows what great leader or philosopher or talented individual didn't get that same luxury.
But perhaps one day you shall become a great leader or a great philosopher.
She laughs at that and just shakes her head. Yeah, I highly doubt that's possible.
We never know where our paths may take us.
As she looks around the room at this fascinating futuristic ship that she's in, yeah, I think you're absolutely correct with that.
Just, sorry, you were going to...
No, just please let me do something. Let me earn a spot here. Let me show you that it wasn't a mistake for me to be put in the pod.
What do you propose?
Well, I can help carry things.
I don't believe at the moment we have need of anything to be carried, but we will definitely call you if something happens.
Okay, thank you. At that moment, the security guard, I'm spending 2 points of threat. Security guard pops up from his stall, draws his phaser, and points it at the menu girl. Stand back! Computer, intruder alert! The alarms start going off.
So is this guy what rank is this guy?
He's an ensign.
Okay. Ensign, what are you doing?
I received a call that there's a threat in sickbay. There's a unidentified alien in here. Step away, Commander.
Ensign, that has been dealt with already.
He's looking past you and just looking confused and angry at the girl.
Ensign, this girl has done nothing. Put your weapon down. That's an order.
That's he turns and looks at you and like wait a minute, who are you? You're impersonating a Starfleet officer, aren't you?
Ensign, I am Lieutenant Commander Velic. I have been newly assigned to the DeGrasse Tyson.
DeGrasse Tyson, this is the Venture.
Ensign, I'm going to have to ask you to calm yourself down. You're having difficulty with your memory.
No, I remember everything clearly. I remember the Romulans.
Ensign, this is your last warning. If you do not put down your weapon, I will be forced to act.
I don't know who you are, and I'm not putting my weapon down.
Okay, so I'm going to have to probably. What would be the best way to do that? I'd have my phaser on me as well right now?
You probably would not, as an
Okay.
engineer.
Oh, okay, all right. So I wouldn't have it. It says in the character sheet I've got one, but I just wouldn't have it on me then.
You wouldn't be just carrying it around the ship. Usually the only crew that carries the phaser actively would be security.
Okay, so then I guess I'll probably have to attempt to disarm him.
Yeah, you could do that.
All right,
so that'll just be a simple combat roll there. And hang on a second. Velic, there's your sheet. So for that, it's typically daring and security for combat. But if if there's something you want to use or anything you can use in that, of course, that's always a good thing. Just looking at your sheet, with the I'm not sure which one that is. That was 2. I see you have a violence is only ever the last resort for your value. If you want to make the task more difficult for you, as you're having to resort to violence and not try to find a peaceful solution, it'll make the task even more difficult, but it would also gain you a point of determination back.
All right. Well, would disarming be considered an act of violence? Since I'm not trying to harm him,
I'm just merely giving you a suggestion. I'm not telling you have to take it.
Okay. Yeah, let's go for it, because the determination might come in handy then.
Okay. So you know that the situation is getting tense. You don't really have time to go logical and easy. You're just going to have to act. You don't have a phaser, so you're going to just get in there hand to hand and try to get this off of him. So we're going to roll your, again, attack. So it's going to take, let's see, I think for this, it's going to take, I think the normal fight, since we don't, this is actually like the first real combat that we've ever had, is just wrestling with a character inside of side thing. I think it's pretty easy. Yeah, it would be 1, but it's raised up to 2 because of that. You're using.
So that complication is 2?
Complication for you is 3, but the difficulty is 2. So don't worry about the difficulty on your sheet. Just know you need to get 2 successes. Let's see, that is, where is Velic? Violence. Last resort. as a negative. So you get +1 determination back. So that might help you in the future. All right, then you can roll your dice. It'll be 2 successes. Again, you can also buy more dice with threat since you don't have momentum.
I'm sorry, I don't have momentum, you said?
Yeah, the momentum is shared by everyone.
Okay, so the momentum's
yeah,
all
so,
gone then?
Yeah, so
Right.
momentum's gone. If you want 1 more die, that's 1 more point of threat. If you want 2 dice, that would be 3 threat total. And if you wanted all 3 dice, that's 5 threat total. Or no, I'm sorry,
So-
6 threat total.
So the threat is right now is at 1 then.
The threat's at 3.
Threat's at 3, okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's just keep it this. So got daring, security, threat level 3, no determination, no momentum. Focus would probably be no then, right? Because
Focus, nothing for this, no.
yeah. So then complication is 3, and task roll and challenge, which I put for those.
The task roll right now is 2 unless you buy more dice. Challenge you don't have to worry about right now.
Okay. Yeah, let's go with let's get 1 more dice just to be on the safe side.
Okay, so that's 1 more point of threat, and then
That's
you'll get
task roll
3
3.
dice. Yes.
Okay.
1 success and 1 complication. All right, so you go and grapple with him. You lock up with him. You're not able to disarm him, but you're struggling around the room, and the phaser is going to start going off wildly. That's going to be the complication instead of the gaining more threat. But before we resolve what happens with that phaser hit, I'm going to do a little time jump with Lutant. You got to Thadagia just as this was about to go down. So what happened in the moments before then? Is your mic on, Lutant? I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Yeah. Lieutenant Thadagia, if I might, a moment to your time.
Yes.
Unfortunately, sir, it seems that I have begun to show the same symptoms in losing short periods of time in my immediate memory.
I feared this.
That unfortunately seems to put a damper on our theory that humans are more resistant.
Seems how I've yet to find a cure. I have no clear answers for you. However, I'm going to Mark. I'm going to call in Mark and I'm going to have you sit down, Ensign, and relax until we can find a cure for this. I'm sorry, I know this affects your duties, but there's nothing more I can actually do for you at this moment.
I understand. I'll sit and rest for a moment, but then I think it's still best for me to return and try to keep our 2 guests, or keep an eye on our 2 guests.
I understand if you feel that your abilities are being affected, your ability to operate, come back and relax.
I'll try to remember to.
Okay, as you're about to walk away, you start hearing raised voices coming from the main examination chamber, followed by the sound of phaser blasts going off and sparking and explosions, the screaming voice of a girl. And as you run through into the doctor's room, Thadagia, are you coming to investigate too, or are you just staying at your work?
I'm just staying. But
Yeah,
I have
you-
a sigh of exasperation here because I know what's
Yeah.
going on.
You know exactly what's happening. You're like, I better just get this finished right now. Okay, so you said work plugging away. On the two, you run to the doctor's room and in doctor's office, and like the way out, you see Velik wrestling with the security guard. The phaser is just firing wildly. It's hitting consoles. There's sparks. There's explosions. And before you could do anything else, I'm spending 2 more points of threat, and you start now hearing wild kicking and banging coming from the corridor on the outside. Somebody's like violently trying to kick in the door, which has been sealed, locking you all in here. And you hear a lot of angry, rowdy voices on the outside as our 2 Starfleet members start wrestling and tussling around. And we're going to go to commercial break here to stop for the night.